You're listening to The Raw Reaction on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
In the spirit of Halloween, we can be whoever we want to be, right? It's the beauty of Halloween.
Exactly. I'm dressing up in my Angry Tensai costume.
You know, your sound is a little low tonight, Angry Tensai. Is there any way you can turn your volume up? Or are you in the bathroom and you're talking on a phone that's all the way across in the other room?
No, I'm actually on the scooter right now.
I can barely hear you. It's that faint, which I'm sure our listeners cannot hear you either.
That's probably actually a blessing for the listeners as well as yourself to not have to hear me.
You sound a little bit better actually now.
Okay, all right, well, that's good. I appreciate that, Big Dick.
Big Dick number 2. I have a question for you, and
yes.
It really dawned on me watching Raw this week. And I know that I am going to use a cliche that many people utilize, but having sat through tonight's Raw, and I actually thought Raw tonight was very, very good, it is just too damn long. 3 hours. You put this show on 2 hours, it was awesome. Why does the show have to be 3 hours?
We need more Braun Strowman talking segments, I think. I mean, he's carrying the show every week. I need more competition. I'm tired of beating up losers. Okay, yeah. Well, you got a fucking ring of them.
Yeah, you could do without stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. There's so much. Like, honestly, the cruiserweight stuff, which we'll talk about, like the 6-man tag, like that could have been. I mean, we've seen that match like 18 times on Raw. I mean, that's just 20 minutes we don't need. But like I'll tell you, like by the time we started the main event, which was for the U.S. title, Jericho versus Reigns, I couldn't even remember. Like, it felt like literally a different show. The Goldberg opening segment. Like, it was such a long period of time that had passed that I was physically tired. Like, honestly, right now, recapping this with you, I feel like it was literally like days ago that I watched a Goldberg
show. It was 3.5 hours ago when this took place. And
I understand that, but it doesn't feel that way.
No, I understand. I mean, it seems like it was like you said, like days ago. It's not I don't know. It's just not good. I think what they're doing, trying to bring out the selling point segment for the pay-per-view.
I love the opener. Loved it.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's so much shit in between.
Oh, I know. So I'm saying, shorten that shit up. That's why SmackDown's coming off so much better. You know?
Yeah, it's 2 hours. They don't have to force stuff. I'll tell you what I really fucking hate is the pay-per-view where they are going to have battles between Raw and SmackDown for tag teams, women's division, and men's division. You know what? Women's division, men's division, title, or single division, they're fine. Putting 5 tag teams from each brand on television is going to be fucking painful. It's going to be freaking painful to watch. I could really name 5 tag teams in in each division. I mean, this is.
Well, I do think the Divas match though, the women's 5-man, is going to be very intriguing. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine, and I think that they'll also make the men's match fun. They usually tell a good story with that.
The tag team one's a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Take your 5 best tag team wrestlers, put them together. So put New Day and whoever, Enzo and Cass versus 5 bad guys from SmackDown, and tell a story about it. That's fine. We don't need to see every single freaking tag team out of.
No, it's gonna be terrible.
It's like the Battle Royal we had this evening. It was basically just, okay, everybody who hasn't wrestled in a while, hey, you're going to get a paycheck now. Darren Young, absolutely. We're going to take team with,
that Battle Royal is pathetic. So what Mike is referencing is Braun Strowman asked for a chance to be on Team Raw versus SmackDown for Survivor Series, and that Battle Royal literally was just a bunch of ham and eggers with Braun Strowman. It was like it was like 20 local talents plus Sheamus and Cesaro.
No, it was all local talent. It was all.
I understand.
It was all enhancement. It was all.
But it was the lower mid card. It was R-Truth, Bo Dallas, McGillicuddy, all those guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't ignoring at this time, although pretty much the entire roster except for Thurman and, they got that statement, but, it wasn't like Jerry Brunch from Weatherfield, Connecticut.
Yo, the first segment I gotta ask you about. Goldberg calling out Lesnar and Heyman teasing that Lesnar was there tonight. When Rusev came out and confronted Goldberg, I literally stood up in my living room. I got so pumped up. Were you pumped up when that happened?
Yeah, that was cool because it's something that you don't expect, and you know what? It's going to continue to advance. Rusev, he took the loss last night as just a badass, which is what they need to continue to build him up as now, because hopefully he's the brains over at this point.
He killed Rusev.
Yeah.
Those knees.
But I mean, you know what? It was more good entertainment to watch. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It was good. He served his purpose. They're never interacting again. I thought they did rubbing a beer after the pay-per-view, but
well, it just goes back to what we've been saying. How good is Rusev on the mic? I mean, he really made that segment.
Yeah, I mean, he's much better on the mic, much better, not just a brutal Russia loving wrestler. He's been he's really improved his mic skills, and I mean, everybody still wants Lana, but he can hold his own without it.
Yeah, man, Rusev's come a long way, man. I mean, he really has come a long, long, long way. I have to say, I gotta give him credit.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, do you think he gets his chance at a championship? Or is it gonna be a different way? Is he gonna have to win the Money in the Bank contract or something to get that?
I think he's out of the mix for a while, but I mean, I've talked about it here. I think his character is a lot more diverse than people think, and I think he could actually be a face. I'm not even kidding around. I think he's that diverse of a character. He can be serious. He can be a buddy. He can be funny. I mean, he can do it all. He's a very diverse character. I think he's interesting. I think Lana really, really is an awesome character to be paired with for anyone, specifically for him. So, it's all good.
No, I would agree. I mean, he's really coming to his own, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, man. So Goldberg is on a collision course with Lesnar, but not only did Goldberg throw a bunch of vicious knees to Rusev and throw him up in the jackhammer, but that spear on Heyman, dude, that looked like it hurt everybody involved. That wasn't the cleanest spear I've ever seen. It just looked like just brutal. Like, that didn't look good for Paul Heyman. It didn't look good for Goldberg either, didn't it? Didn't it?
Yeah, well, it was one of those things. It was almost one of those things where he was almost laying up too soft on it, and
I thought he ran through him. I was like, holy shit!
I don't know. It's sort of the same hold up on it. I thought.
It didn't look that way to me. It looked like he hit him just square, and he didn't mean to. It looked really vicious. I mean, in a bad way. I was expecting both guys to lay there, like both guys.
Part of the problem was what's his name. Part of the problem was what's his name was sitting in the middle of the ring. Rusev was laying out in the middle of the ring, so he had to go around him, over him, whatever, to get actually connect with him. And so he might have bumped him like he was a little closer than he should have been, and took the brunt of it.
One thing worried me though. I mean, I don't know. Goldberg looked a little, maybe it's a little rusty, but I don't know, man. I'm really hoping he can deliver. I want him to because I love the guy, but I'm a little concerned he can't pull off a full match, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I was reading reviews on the show. So there's actually he looked a little bit winded after his first segment there. But you know what? Time will tell, and still it'll be a good match. I think I'm looking forward to it. Even if it is 10, 15 minutes or 10, 12 minute match, I think that they should be able to tell a good enough story to make it at least entertaining. I don't necessarily think it's the main event, but I think it could be one hell of a match.
Yeah. Well, you know what I don't want to see more of?
What's that?
The cruiserweight division, without one exception, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think that, let me just go through what I saw in that 6-man match. I think Rich Swann is terrible. I can't watch that guy dance one more time. I just don't think he brings anything to the table that is unique. I mean, okay, he's like 150 pounds, he could jump around, great. I don't think he connects with the crowd at all. I think Cedric Alexander is a vanilla version of Rich Swann. He's basically the exact same guy. He's terrible. I think Tony Nese, the Jack Damian Sandow, is just hot garbage. I think Lince Dorado is literally the worst luchador ever. I think he's even worse than Super Calo and Silver King and the Villanos combined. I'm not
What about Curryman?
Who's Curryman?
You don't remember Curryman from TNA fame?
Yeah, but Curryman was awesome. That's Chris Daniels.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I Drew Gulak looks like a guy that, you know, you'd see at the bar. They just pulled out of the bar and like, you want to wrestle tonight? I mean, he's terrible.
I think you have a drink a little.
I mean, they're all, and I'll spare Sin Cara because I think the guy who plays him has some skill, and at least the crowd somewhat cares about him. Those guys all need to go. I think T.J. Perkins isn't much better. I think he's serviceable. He's good enough to be on WWE TV, but he's such an overactor, and his whole theme and gimmick is just really one of the worst I've ever seen. But then there's a beacon of light, and I have to say, one of the best things I've seen on WWE TV in the last decade, over the last, I'd say 4 to 5 weeks specifically, the Brian Kendrick is having a frickin' renaissance. And I think WWE said, we're gonna just try something crazy. We're just gonna literally let this guy have a ton of mic work and time to work every week. And we're just gonna let him run and see what happens. And what's happening is awesome. I love the Brian Kendrick, and I think he is single-handedly the only reason the Cruiserweight division hasn't been canceled. How about that?
Yeah, well, you know what? He's the only person who gets a reaction out of the Cruiserweight thing. I'll give you that one. Because I was watching the pay-per-view last night, and they were during a match, during a triple threat match, at the beginning of the show. It was a pretty good match. And I like Cedric a little bit more than you do, I think. Just like I like the guy who looks at Damian Sandow a little more than you do. But, they were pretty much the entire time they were sitting on their hands. Same thing for the match, for the title match, until basically they got to the point where they were about finishing off with, the Brian Kendrick pulling off the surprising victory.
Well, you know, it's old school storytelling. I mean, just the way Kendrick sells, like, the fake injury and the purposely getting himself counted out, realizing if he got himself counted out. I mean, it's just old school storytelling, and just the way he tells, like, you know what? I'll give you a couple of examples. So, think about how visual Kendrick talks about, like, when Kendrick begged Perkins before the pay-per-view to, like, let him win, I need this. It's, like, so believable, but, like, Charlotte, who I actually think is really, really good on the mic, and can storytell to a degree, when she was like, no, tonight you're not gonna face Dana Brooke Bailey, you're gonna face someone else, ha 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 ha. Like, it was so, like, she was, like, pretending.
It was over dramatic. It was over dramatized.
Right, and that's, like, 95% of the roster. Like, I don't know if it's these classes they're teaching down in NXT, which you've seen on, like, Breaking In, like, all those shows. Like, all these guys are, like, overacting. Like, it's so weird. Like, if I watch, like, 80s or 90s wrestling, right? The wrestling is fucking terrible. I mean, I can't even make it through a wrestling match. It's like 10, 20 minutes of rest holds. The matches are horrible compared to what we see now. However, every promo is, like, awesome. It's like, the promos are incredible from the late 80s, early 90s. Everybody's promos are, like, fucking killer. So why are the promos so bad?
I'm not liking this. I'm not liking this little pop culture phenomenon. I've never seen the the South Park episode
The
where
what?
they scored the South Park episode where they scored a wrestling federation.
That's a great episode.
Yeah, and that's sort of what, like, I feel like that's sort of like what you're talking about, where everything's so over-dramatized right now. Like, they basically turned into like a giant play in the show, and it was just completely just mocking that part of wrestling. And I feel like what you're saying there, like, just not being able to act or trying to very hard is definitely taken away from the product.
The problem is it's their, and I don't know if this will resonate with some of our listeners. When you're trying to play a character, it's easier to get into the character, right? Like, so say I am Papa Shango. I can make Papa Shango come to life because I know what Papa Shango is supposed to do. Or if I'm Kane, I know what Kane's supposed to do. Like, I think the problem is when you have Mike Jones playing John Smith, it's hard for Mike Jones to be John Smith because it's not really a character. And that's been the problem with wrestling. So, yet you're gonna like you're gonna say, okay, the days of Razor Ramon and characters like that, well, that's a joke and that makes wrestling look bad. But however, you're gonna have the Halloween street fight tonight with Enzo Amore, Big Cass versus the Bullet Club, and you're gonna let Enzo and Cass beat them with a pumpkin. Literally, there was like a pumpkin DDT to win the match. Like, are you kidding me? And you're gonna tell me it's worse.
This is whatever. Right after finally getting, this might be the most effective W got Enzo, or not Enzo Cass, that Gallows and Anderson since they came into WWE, and you followed up with it. That's basically, okay, any credibility you guys had after winning this match, they're probably fine. I mean, yes, the match wasn't a great victory for them, wasn't totally decisive, but it was a win. Something to build on. For running championship, maybe? Who knows? But then you go out and lose this immediately after. Sorry about your damn momentum.
The pumpkin. You know what's funny?
It's literally like, I was reading something today about, in WCW, they were, like, they were pretty famous for letting people write their own scripts or come up with their own feuds and give direction and stuff. I think WWE would be better getting input like that so people that own it. Because if you can gallons into the script and say, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do, and this is what you do, it's going to sound forced. Like you're saying, like TJ Perkins. Sounds completely forced. Same thing with Charlotte. Completely forced. You give them enough room to improvise stuff where they're not dressed up as fucking doctors or whatever the heck they're doing. Give them room like they got, like the New Day's got. Give them room like.
It is true. They haven't really given them anything to work with.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem. I feel like they came in there and they're like, okay, well, just start with, AJ Styles, see how it goes. And, like, I feel like they needed to take some sort of ownership or come up with some sort of thing. I mean, and you know what I really hate? It didn't throw it for 2 sweet times. I mean, it was fine, like, okay, when they came in and did it, like, every once in a while, and it was like, hey, why are they doing it? Okay, cool, there, like, cool action there. Then when AJ Styles leaves, and now pretty much that's all they do, is they literally walk out to the ring like that, they go in the ring, and they're just busting at 2 sweet times. I hope Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon come back and just take the shit out of each other.
It was pretty bad. It was really bad.
Yeah. Is that what you guys came up with? The sweet finger tingle and soul for them. I think even more because of that.
Dude, I'll put this in perspective to you why wrestling's so viewed badly mainstream. My wife, who's always a good barometer, never watches wrestling with me. Just happened to be in the room because we were still waiting for trick-or-treaters from 8 till like 8:30. Okay? She was not really paying attention, but Goldberg came on. And I was explaining to her, this guy was like big when we were like young. And he hasn't been on TV in like 13 years. And I think she kind of was like, well, that's interesting. And Goldberg then lit up Rusev, crushed him, and it was like, wow, this is pretty cool, pretty intense, right? Didn't think anything of it. And then I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. It's like, it's bringing a lot of people back into it. Like, people from my generation love Goldberg, you know. It's gonna bring over a lot of the old WCW fans. Like, this is really cool. I'm like, it's making wrestling cool again, and then all of a sudden, the very next segment, there's pumpkins around the ring. And she's like, what is a pumpkin street fight? And I'm like, oh man. I was just embarrassed. I was embarrassed to be watching.
Yeah. It's like, this is wrestling crap.
Like, but why do it? Why do they book this shit?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're going back into the mid 90s or mid 2000s with John Cena, and oh man, we're gonna have it's not even like mid 2000s. We're gonna have like a sexy lingerie.
But here's what I think. Here's what I don't get. WWE dominates. So they're the dominant brand in the world. Ring of Honor, TNA, they would never have a pumpkin street fight. Why does WWE continue to do this shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I get, what, you need something that's gonna keep people to free forever, but the problem is, when you have two of your top superstars doing it and two wrestlers you want to have as a badass tag team doing it, it's ultimately, the lower it's going to hurt your product.
Well, I'll tell you, Kev, let me ask you a question. Kev, you online tonight? You here? You listen to us?
What's up?
When you hear us say that there was a pumpkin street fight and Luke Gallows got DDT'd through a pumpkin to lose to Enzo Amore tonight, how does that make you feel?
Jesus Christ, which Bush League wrestling promotion did WWE buy this week to inherit that brain dead idea?
Why would they put that on TV, honestly, like, in your opinion?
They're out of ideas. Maybe
that should be like intense. I do vaguely remember. I think we went to a show back in like 95, 96 or something down in Atlantic City. I think you were there, and they had fucking. It was a pretty good show. It was like a 3-4 hour show, but they had wrestlers coming out, and you see them once in a while on TV, but there were a lot of wrestlers, and they were like, okay, there's a 14 tag team match, and it was almost like a pre-show to Raw going on the air. I think we went to or something. And, I mean, it was cool to have all those wrestlers, but there's just too many people. Too many people to give a shit about.
But the pumpkin.
Too many stories to tell, and I think we're getting close to that.
Okay.
Like the Cruiserweight division, the only story that I know about the Cruiserweight division is, I think they might have said something at one of the...
But none of those guys went for pumpkin. Luke Gallows got paid all this money to come over from Japan. And you have him get DDT'd by a man literally less than half his size through a pumpkin and jobs.
Oh.
I just don't I'm not understanding it.
I know what it is.
What?
It's the WWE writers dressing up as the WCW writers for Halloween.
You know what I think it is? No, I'm dead serious about it. I really think that these guys travel together. The writers, the staff, everybody, the wrestlers, they travel together all year. And we know they have a very intense schedule. And I think that this company is so fucking petty, that this is how petty they are, that they act out against the people they don't like on TV. And I think the writers are probably like, don't like Gallows and Anderson, and they're like, here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna punish them. And they put this shit on TV. There's no other explanation. The only other logical explanation is somebody thinks that children will enjoy Enzo and pumpkins mixed and Enzo winning. Could that be it? It bothers me. Because I told you guys 2 weeks ago when Enzo beat Carl Anderson in like 2 minutes clean that it was over for Gallows and Anderson. Now I'm convinced it's over for them. I mean, they're done. It's over. It's absolutely over.
WWE is not done. I mean, they've done pretty good. Just wrestling, they've done okay, but they've just been giving nothing to work with storyline-wise. I mean,
these guys, they are the ascension of Raw. I'm not making a joke. I mean, dead serious. They're supposed to be monsters, and they just job to everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's freaking embarrassing because you know that they should be a top tag team. I don't even know if they sniffed the tag team titles. I think they might have had one match on like Superstars against them for the title, but that's about it. And
they must hate AJ Styles. Like, they had all that success together, in New Japan, and now look at AJ. He's the man. in WWE right now, and they are just like meandering. You know?
No, I understand. And I mean, that's one of those things where if they ever do a trade between SmackDown and Raw rosters, I'd love to see Anderson get shipped over there to hang out with AJ.
You're right. Because taking Gallows and Anderson away from AJ.
No, I'm saying we get both over there.
No, I know they need to be with AJ. AJ doesn't need them; they need AJ.
Yeah, I mean, if
he's
guys covering his back, he should be good.
Who is the hottest guy on WWE TV right now? The Brian Kendrick. Put them with him. He needs guys who got his back. Like, put them with him and make it where he never loses that cruiserweight title because they're always doing crazy shit to cost whoever he's fighting the match or to save the belt. That would be perfect for them, right? And I mean, and it gets Kendrick even over. The problem with Kendrick is the fans fucking love him and he's like a mega heel. I'm just on the Brian Kendrick boss. I mean, why don't you just let him wrestle for 2 hours and talk for 2 hours? Can I tell you, that stuff with Lita and Booker T on the Raw post show after the pay-per-view was so awesome. Like, why were Lita and Booker going after Brian Kendrick like that? I hated it. Booker's such an idiot. Like, he was like he immediately starts burying Kendrick. He comes out, he's like, oh, you know, it's obvious you've lost the step. The guy's sitting there at the cruiserweight title. He's like, it's obvious you guys lost the step. And, you know, you had to cheat to win, you know, cause you're not what you used to be. And then Kendrick just, without missing a beat, goes, you know what, Booker? If you're gonna come at me with that kind of disrespect, I have immense respect for you, but I don't think you should come at that respect for me. At least address me the right way. It's the Brian Kendrick to you. I was going fucking nuts. It was awesome. I love him. But right now, I put the Universal title on Kendrick. If I was booking, he'd be our champion right now. Not even kidding around. I love him.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I mean, I know you love him, the Brian Kendrick, but I'd like to see him hang out in the division a little bit more. And maybe have him bring some people down, like, not necessarily Mysterio or, maybe somebody like Neville.
Yeah, man.
Even Jericho. Have him wrestle Jericho. Shit.
Why are Kalisto and Neville not in this division? Like, they're good talents. And all these other jokes. Well, that's the problem. Brian Kendrick is so good that he's making these other guys look like a bunch of amateurs. And that's kind of like a great article I read 2 weeks ago when Goldberg came back and cut that promo that he cut. You see this every time one of the legends comes back that actually knew how to mic work. They make the whole roster look like a bunch of fucking amateurs. And that's what happens when these old school guys come back. Guys like Kendrick, guys like Goldberg, they make the rest of the roster look like jokes because they've all been robotically trained by William Regal and friggin' in NXT, and they're horrible on the mic. They're all terrible. And then you watch guys like Goldberg, and Goldberg wasn't even good on the mic. He really wasn't. But compared to what we see now, he's better than these guys. You know? Think back to the Rock Cena feud. Like, the 2 years of it. Do you recall how foolish Rock made Cena look on the mic? Rock would hold 20-minute Rock concerts making fun of John Cena. I mean, that's mic work, dude. He'd have fucking concerts ripping on the guy. A concert. Just think about that. I'm having a concert tonight to cut my promo. And he'd go for 20 fucking minutes. I mean, that's awesome, dude. That's the shit that drew people in. Back during the Attitude Era, they love that. Kurt Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin would come out with fucking like those ukuleles and play music together for a half an hour, and we would eat it up. And Angle with a little hat on. Do you remember this shit? And now we get Braun Strowman looking for competition. I mean, where have we gone? Where have we gone? But do you know what I appreciated? I appreciated Big E Langston coming up dressed as Kama Mustafa from the Nation of Domination for Halloween. That was a very cool outfit. And he looked very awesome in that outfit. What'd you think of that, Beck? Oh, looks like we lost Beck. Well, for those of you who don't know, the the New Day came out to hype up, well, they did a backstage promo to hype up tag team Survivor Series match where they basically just ripped on the entire SmackDown roster and how bad they were, except for American Alpha, and they think they're good. And I actually really didn't like that because it devalues the entire roster that's a tag team in nature, except for American Alpha, which is what we all think anyway. I didn't think there was any value in that segment. However, seeing the Nation of Domination garb by Big E Langston made the segment somewhat savable. And Francesca 3 is on the way, by the way, folks. Francesca 2 is going to be shortly buried, but Francesca 3 is on the way. Vic, we got you back.
Yo.
All right. What'd you think of my man Big E as Kama Mustafa in Nation of Domination? All right.
Yo.
Big Vic, what did you think of Big E dressed as a Nation of Domination member for Halloween?
You know what? I would have actually liked to see him. You noticed the other two costumes as well, correct?
Yes, I saw Xavier Woods was Papa Shango and Kofi Kingston was Godfather. They were all Kama spin-offs.
I was hoping that Big E would have been wearing the right to censor gear instead.
That probably would have been funnier than the Godfather if one of them was. But it just shows you how versatile Charles Wright was. I forgot that he was the good father as well.
Yeah, no, I forgot he was Kama Mustafa, and I was thinking he was why did they do right censor? And I'm like, wait a second, no, he was on the.
He had 5 gimmicks in the WWE. He had the Supreme Fighting Machine Kama, where he was like that shoot fighter. Then he became Kama Mustafa, the Nation member. Then he became the Godfather. Well, actually, before all that, he was Papa Shango, and then he was the Good Father.
Yeah. No, he had a wide range of characters. Is he in the WWE Hall of Fame? We need to start writing letters.
And he is, and he should be. He is actually in the Hall of Fame. And he should have played all of his characters. Maybe some would argue the Supreme Fighting Machine Kama was not successful. I think I'd agree with that. But the other 4 were certainly successful.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they're characters who we still know today. I mean, Papa Shango, we still sort of remember. But, I mean, the Godfather, I mean, that was fucking legendary shit.
Papa Shango never really got the push he should have got. He got like that one initial feud when he debuted with Hogan for the title. But then he just literally meandered in the mid-card. And, you know, he was this big, menacing voodoo guy. I mean, that looks like physically can beat anyone. And you're kind of like, why does he job to everybody? He should have been the Intercontinental Champion. I don't understand that to this day.
So what did you think? What did you think about the pay-per-view last night?
You know, me, I've read a lot of reviews from people, and a lot of people shit on it. I thought it was really good. I thought Raw was good tonight too, outside of the Pumpkin match. But you know, the 3 Hell in a Cell matches, Reigns and Rusev was a lot better than I thought it would be. The only thing,
I read some reviews giving them shit about that. And I'm like, you know what? I watched that match and I enjoyed it. And one of the things that I started to swear by, which I did sort of out of necessity last night, was I started the pay-per-view, and then like before the first match started or before the second match started, I paused it for just like I didn't really pay how much time. I just paused it for a little while. I think do like some laundry or something. I was doing something, and I put it back on. So at the end of the show, I had no concept of time. Like I had no concept like, oh man, it's like
it was long.
What's that?
It was long.
The pay-per-view? I thought it was great. I love the women's match. I love the storytelling in the women's match.
You always complain about, and you always say like, oh, well, it's 10:45, the pay-per-view needs to end. They certainly didn't subscribe to that. It ended at like 11:18. It was like some wild time.
Wait, say it again?
You always talk about how like the pay-per-views will end exactly at 11:40 or 10:45. They like went to a very odd time of 11:18.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I don't like following. I don't like starting it right at 8 o'clock and just watching it straight through. I like to just I'll take like a break and leave like 15 minutes, a half hour, but don't keep track of it. So basically, I had no idea, to be honest with you, during the segment with the women, where they were fighting outside of the ring and it appeared as if she was hurt. I had no idea if she was really hurt and this was sort of like the blow for that to get her out of it, or if it was just all part of the story. And I liked not having to think about oh my gosh, here's 20 different angles on this. And just like, hey, why isn't this match done, or you're running short on time or whatever, so we have to do a shorter match. I don't like having to worry about that. And otherwise, I feel like I'm a writer who's like clocking in the second the match starts till the end and say, okay, you know what, it was a 17-minute match. It can't be a 5-star. I thought
the wrestling in that match was very good, but the booking was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem, though. I sort of do like the way they've started putting more meaningful matches on first. I don't complain about that.
No, I'm saying the main event, though. I'm saying I thought Charlotte.
Yeah, what did you think about the main event match?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought Charlotte versus Sasha was a very, very good match. I just don't think they booked it well. You know what I mean? Like, I think the match itself was very good. The wrestling. But I just think the booking was so poor. Like, the abrupt ending and then the whole fake injury. Like, they should have never had the fake injury. Like, literally just let her lose then. You know?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're keeping them they're going to keep them in the title picture. And what I can see here is Sasha staying in the title picture until February or January, February, and then getting put into WrestleMania and sort of have the next 3 to 4 months be her chase to get the championship, where she can actually win it.
We're a 3-man band.
Dude, 3-man band, Jinder Mahal, and what's his name? Heath Slater. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Heath Slater is proof of why being a good mic worker can really, I mean, honestly, Slater is so good on the mic, even with a joke character, that, like, that's why he's, like, being pushed, and that's why the people care about him. You know, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Even
and
Ryan,
you know what?
terrible on the mic, he's good on the mic compared to today.
I feel like we do a lot of, like, fantasy bookings in WWE, which there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I mean, I think that we're pretty productive, pretty reasonable, and we're not gonna have our ideas stolen from them anytime soon.
No.
But I think it's more of a, hey, what would we appreciate more than having stuff like this happen? I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on the pay-per-view and or Raw tonight? You there? Kev?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to him.
Ken's right there?
He's gone.
Oh, shit. We still in the air?
Yeah, hang on, he's coming back.
Alright, cool. Yeah, his phone might have just died or something.
Are you back?
Tensai's back.
Alright, he is back. He was being the invisible man there for a moment.
That fantasy booking thing that you said really lost me.
What's that?
It must be I was intimidated by the thought of fantasy booking.
Which one? Who were talking about? Charlotte and Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch sucks.
Yeah, but no, I'm sorry, not Becky Lynch. Charlotte and Sasha. I was saying that I think that this is going to be Sasha's. I hated it. I thought she should have won that. I mean, it was hometown, and it was a hell of a story, and she won. I mean, I get what you're doing with what's her name, trying to get her big heel sponsor. That's what that was on the move. But I think this is going to end up being like a 5 or 6 month chase for something that's coming to a head after soon. What are your thoughts there?
I couldn't really hear you that well, but the women's division you're asking me about?
I'm asking about Sasha Banks and Charlotte having their next match and having Sasha win the championship at WrestleMania.
I think Sasha, there's some reason Sasha had to drop that belt, and I'm really curious on what caused that. I'm not really sure on what caused that. I think Bayley's the big one they're gonna push, but
Oh yeah, I think they're going to push for it, and I think that they'll eventually have what's her name push for it? Dana Brooke. Who's the assistant to Charlotte for a while? Is Dana Brooke or no? You know? Yo.
I think he's disappearing again. Apparently, we are hitting network difficulties.
Jeez, have you ruined everything, man?
I ruined nothing. This is all your fault.
Yeah, you're right. Probably is. I saw you blogging about the Kentucky debate today. Do you get paid to do that, or do you just do that on your own?
I just do it for fun.
Okay. You still hard Hillary lean after all these emails popping out?
The emails are meaningless. I mean, seriously, what is the worst thing that we have discovered? That politicians pull backroom deal steal and they say bad things about each other. Congratulations, American politics for 250 years.
No, but I think part of the problem is with the whole server thing is they were stupid about it, and they didn't clear, like, I could have told you very easily, like, hey, get rid of every single device, fucking leach it, whitewash it, hammer it, dump it in water, and make that thing fucking 50 miles out in the desert. Yet, she still continued to use the computer that they had all those emails on. And the funny thing is, this all came to light because of, Weiner.
You know what? We don't even know what the latest stuff involving Anthony Weiner is going to deal. Honestly, I think it's a bunch of nothing.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Guys, I'm sorry. A little technical difficulties tonight.
And you coming back just kicked Vic off the line.
Oh boy.
That's okay.
Well,
we were having some interesting discussion about the debate tonight between the Kentucky Senate candidates.
Oh no.
It was actually it was a wash for me. I don't think we really learned anything new, and I don't know.
Why is Vic always getting political?
Well, he knows I didn't see Raw, but he did notice that I was blogging tonight about it. So,
do you know who I would vote for?
Who would you vote for?
The Brian Kendrick. That's who I want. He's a man with a plan. Clearly, you would vote for a man with a plan.
Does he have the diplomatic skills?
It appears that way to me. When I think he's very diplomatic. I think he's very persuasive. I love him.
You know what? That exchange that you described between him and Booker T, that was awesome. I wouldn't have said you have to call me the Brian Kendrick. I would be like, you can call me by my proper title, champion.
I just look. First off, I don't really like those shows because I feel like that those are shoots, and like to be edgy, that I think the announcers kind of bury the talents, and I don't really like that. Like, cause like it's kind of stupid because if Booker T shoots on Kendrick, it's not like he has an intention on getting in the ring with him, so there's really no opportunity for Kendrick to really recover from that because it's like, okay, well, I can't even fight this guy. But I think the way he handled it was hysterical, and it made Buck look like a moron. It was so funny when he said that to him.
But you know what? In a sense, though, that's kind of great. I mean, because think back, what happened with Miz and Daniel Bryan. I mean, there's another great example. That's something that really would not have happened out on the ring.
Right.
Out in front of the fans. They made that happen in a much more intimate setting. And because they did that, it really kind of felt more real.
It looked pretty real to me, though. Yeah, I agree. Miz is a throwback, though, when it comes to the mic work. I think everybody you're watching on TV is part of that NXT group that just goes to those classes and they're being taught. You know what was funny? I was watching a breaking, whatever it was, the WWE Breaking Ground, and they were talking about they were watching a promo on Nikki Bella and her storytelling on being a champion for a year, And all the NXT students were like in awe of Nikki Bella. And Bayley was like looking at one of the other wrestlers and was like, that's how it's done. That's exactly how it's done. And I'm like, are they really like praising Nikki Bella as like the gold standard for mic work? Like her of all people? Like that's what you think good mic work is? Are you kidding me? Like it's sad. It's sad that in today's world, that's considered good mic work.
Yeah. I'll agree with you there. But
it's like, I value, somebody like Matt Hardy used to be so bad on the mic. And some would say the whole thing, this whole thing that I love, the deletion, is bad mic work. But I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's great storytelling. It's fantastic. And for him to go from, remember when he was the hottest guy in WWE after the Edge thing? WWE re-signs him. The Edge Lita thing is there. And he had that big promo to build up the feud with Edge, and he blew it. And it was just a horrible promo. Think back to that day when he was the hottest guy and he blew it at that moment to where he is now on the mic. Like that's really impressive that he's been able to improve that late in the game in his career at something. It's so impressive. It's almost like Dustin Rhodes, Gold Dust, like improving his wrestling so late in his career. I mean, it's cool to see, but like, I just can't believe though, watching the 80s, 90s wrestling, how bad the wrestling is and how great it is now. And it's the opposite of the mic work. I would think the mic work would be the easy part, wouldn't you?
Maybe. I don't know.
It clearly isn't. It just clearly isn't. It wasn't all good, but it just seemed like there was many more good mic workers back then. But anyway, I guess we're not going to have Vic back on tonight, but
yeah,
that was really the show in itself. The big development at the end was Kevin Owens interfered to save Chris Jericho from losing to Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins made the save, and Rollins kind of stared down Reigns at the end, and Reigns was appreciative, but they didn't shake hands or anything, and it kind of remains to be seen what will happen with Reigns and Rollins. So very interesting stuff nonetheless.
Indeed, very, very much indeed.
Much more to come, but
let me ask you a question real quick. Speaking of Bayley, what do you think about her being the new spokesperson for Subway?
Well, I mean, I think outside of John Cena, she's their most marketable person to all age groups, especially for the females. I have no problem with that. I think she's a good choice.
WWE did a special Q&A session with her today, sponsored by Subway.
Do you think she's a bad choice?
No, not at all.
It's a great choice.
I think she very much kind of gives off that vibe of fitness and fun, and
yeah, totally.
And I think that totally jives with Subway's gimmick.
Well, I would just say if you have 3 Raws in a row, and she's one of your main people that you're going to be pushing into the future, the 3 weeks in a row on Raw should not go this way. Pinfall loss to Dana Brooke, humiliation, arm wrestling loss to Dana Brooke, and then pin squash to Nia Jax. That's their last 3 weeks in Raw. I don't understand how they're booking Bayley. I don't get it.
I don't know. It's a weird, wild world, isn't it?
And we're supposed to forget that Bayley was able to figure out Nia Jax and choke her out to retain her title. What 9 months ago?
Yeah.
I do like how, like, Nia Jax is like this unstoppable monster in Raw, and I watched Asuka fucking rip her, like, gut her on NXT at NXT The End. And I'm supposed to now forget that I saw all that, and Nia Jax is unbeatable now. Right? Like, I mean...
Well, that was probably a little bit of a mistake on WWE's part to let Asuka just rip her that bad.
I think pretty much what they should do is, like, let Charlotte literally just dominate and never lose for a while. Because once Asuka gets there, no one's beating her. No one's beating her. She's going to run through that division.
Coming up, NXT TakeOver Toronto. My girl, Mickie James, she's coming back.
She's going to job. She's going to get beaten badly. It's not going to go well for her.
Yeah?
They're not going to let her go over Asuka. Are you kidding me?
Who else in NXT is going to beat Asuka?
I know the popular consensus is that Ember Moon girl is going to beat her, and that's just bullshit if they do that, but I guess they have to get her off NXT at some point.
Amber Moon's not ready yet. She's great. Let me say that. She's great.
She shouldn't beat Asuka. She shouldn't.
She's not going to beat Asuka, though. She is not better than Asuka right now.
No one should beat Asuka. There's one person who could beat Asuka, in my opinion.
Who?
There's one woman I've seen the last 10 years that I believe could beat Asuka and should beat Asuka.
Who?
Beth Phoenix.
Well, it's not going to be Beth Phoenix, because, A, she's on her honeymoon. Congratulations, by the way.
But Beth Phoenix at her prime.
And B, she's pregnant.
Beth Phoenix at her prime and her most fit was the most dominant female wrestler ever, even more so than Chyna. There was a division there when Beth Phoenix was. Beth Phoenix was the most impressive female athlete I've ever seen, in my opinion.
Beth Phoenix and Asuka, that could be either one.
They would tear down the fucking house.
They would. They absolutely would.
Asuka's different though, because Asuka is so much more diverse in her moveset and what she brings to the table. Beth Phoenix is all power, right? I mean, that's her game. So it might not be that great of a match, but it would be a great story, I think. And that would be what sold that match. But, Asuka's awesome. I mean, she's as advertised. I mean, she's so unique, at least for America. I've never seen anything like it over the last 10 years on WCW or WWE or any other wrestling federation I watched. I mean, I remember when Lita broke in, I mean, I thought she was pretty awesome. I was like, wow, she could do a moonsault, and, that was a big deal back in the day. But, I mean, this is very different. Asuka's very complete. She's a great wrestler. I mean, I don't think anyone's worthy of beating her, to be honest with you. I think Sasha Banks is an incredible talent and one of the best workers, male or female, in the world. This the problem I think you have is the dominant nature of Asuka. Like, how does Sasha beat her in the story? I think it has to be a heel Sasha Banks to beat Asuka. If Asuka's heel like she is now, no one should beat her as a heel. My opinion.
I'm telling you though, Mickie James is going to take the title from her.
No fucking way. But how? But like how? Like how would she do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying, but how would she do it? So it has to play out. So how does it play out?
Mickie James is just older, she's wiser, she's more skilled, more experienced.
But I don't see how she can physically beat Asuka without cheating or someone interfering.
Who's to say Mickie James doesn't cheat?
Okay, well that's different. I mean, if you're going to tell me, I mean, my opinion and what I understood was Mickie James is coming back as a face to take on a heel Asuka.
You never know how that's going to play, and I certainly don't know. But my gut feeling is that because of the way that the NXT division is lined up right now, there's just nobody that's going to be more physically dominant to beat Asuka, and there's nobody that's more experienced or more cunning or just has more raw power or just can dig deep enough to get around, under, or over Asuka. So that tells me, and she can't run roughshod over this division forever. I mean, because there's no competition there for Asuka anymore. So I think what's going to happen, Mickie James with the upset win, Asuka moves up to the main card.
I just don't see it, but I mean, stranger things have happened. I think WWE has booked Charlotte so strong that is a money match for sure. Asuka versus Charlotte.
Oh, indeed. And if they were smart, once they bring Asuka up, they hold off on that match for as long as possible. I mean, you have those two women completely tear up that division 5 or 6 ways, 6 times, and twice on Sundays before they ever even think about start cutting promos. They have to destroy that division so bad that eventually when they face each other, the look between the two of them is, this division is no longer big enough for the two of us.
I love that. And you know what I think you do at that point? If Asuka has such a run, like a run of runs, I think you actually have to let Charlotte beat Asuka. Because someone's got to beat her, to your point. Someone's got to beat her. You know what I want to see more than anything, though? I really want to see Asuka versus Nikki Bella. The thought of that really excites me.
Oh, come on. Pull your head out of the gutter.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think Nikki Bella is so full of herself. And I mean, she's a good worker now. She's gotten a lot better, but she's not elite. We know why she's in the position she's in. And I would love to see Asuka just destroy her and work her stiff. It'll be funny. It'll be like nothing Nikki Bella's ever faced before.
But you know she'd have to go through Brie first.
No, Brie's gone. We're never going to see Brie again.
You don't think so?
Nah.
She's got her MRS degree?
I think she's just happy with her family, and she's made her money. Brie Bella, I think she's lost the appetite for it, and I don't think WWE treated her very well. After that Stephanie McMahon feud, they just dropped her. I mean, she went on for like a year and a half, like literally losing week in and week out for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened.
You know, really, I never did like how they treated her as a singles wrestler.
I thought she was good during that period with Stephanie McMahon. Even in a loss with Stephanie McMahon, I was like, wow, that was a high-profile feud. Like, Brie Bella came out smoking, even on a loss to Stephanie McMahon, and they just jobbed her. I mean, I don't get it.
You know, yeah, and how many times have they put her in a feud with Nikki, and only for Nikki just to completely dominate, and then Brie and Nikki are back on the same page like nothing fucking happened.
It was weird, dude. And you know what it's like? It's like stables.
You know, and you know what? The weird part is Brie never went for revenge. When the fuck does that ever happen in a blood feud?
No, it was just Nikki like didn't really value Brie unless she needed her for something, and Brie was just so dumb she would just follow Nikki.
I mean, think about that. I mean, anytime that you got two wrestlers who were close to each other, and one does the other wrong, the other always tries to go for revenge. Even when he gets beat in the feud, there's always one last attempt for revenge at least. You know, or at least something that makes it feels like in the end, you know, it all comes out equal. Brie Bella never got that. And it just feels so empty.
I'm with you.
Weird.
I'm with you. I felt the same way, man. You know, I mean, you know, from my perspective, you know, the problem was the lazy booking. And if you look at like any type of factional warfare, when you have multiple factions and you have one really strong wrestler, the lazy booking is to always have the top guy feuding with that faction, run through the first three guys in the faction, and then have them meet at the pay-per-view. So those guys are always jobbing, but the main guy is not. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what they did with the Bellas. It's like, okay, I'll do the obligatory Brie Bella beatings for 2 weeks, then have a standoff with Nikki, and then go to the pay-per-view. That's what happened.
Right.
Brie was like the whipping boy. You would just kick her ass to fill Raw, and then by the time you got to the pay-per-view, Nikki beats you. But you saved face because you won, you know, 2 or 3 weeks in a row on Raw kicking Brie Bella's ass.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I know. And Brie was like originally booked to be the strong one, which is the funniest part of all that.
Yeah.
Go figure, man. But, we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting time in WWE, but, that was pretty much the show. What else is going on in the network?
Tomorrow night, we have the debut of our newest show on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. As you may be aware, and some viewers may not be aware, the Undisputed Wrestling Show has come to an end.
What?
Rick Craig has officially retired from the podcasting world, but don't be dismayed. We've got a new show that's going to be taking its place starting tomorrow night. Zane Paisley will be back with us. Will Huckabee, the Morning Star, will be back with us. And then on occasion, we will have Drew Skills back with us, and we will have the Sign Guy back with us as well. Our new show is going to be called The Wrestling Nerdcast.
Is the Prophet the guy that's retired?
Yes.
So why don't they just keep the name?
Because we decided it was time to go with a new name and a little bit of a new direction with the show. We're gonna be working on some new ideas as well. But tomorrow night, our first guest with Zane and Will is going to be former WWE manager Jameson.
Wow, that's a good one. Speaking of factions and the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I always thought Jameson was a interesting character. I think that we haven't heard from him in a long time. That should be a good. Zayn always gets good people, good spots and good guests. So I'm not surprised. It should be interesting.
Yes, very much so. So tune in tomorrow night live 9 p.m. right here on AngryMarks.com.
Nice. And what does that do to the SmackDown people?
The SmackDown show, we actually had to put that on hiatus because we had some scheduling conflicts. We'll get that figured out soon enough, and we'll get that show back on the air again.
Hiatus?
Yeah, I know. We did 3 episodes and have to go on hiatus. But hey, it happens sometimes.
Are we keeping the same lineup?
We might not.
Oh no. Oh no. What about Garber?
Jordan Garber's still with us on Thursday night AMP.
Don't get rid of Garber. We need Garber. We love Garber.
Don't worry, you can still get all your fill of the Garber snake every Thursday night right here on AngryMarks.com. And also don't forget, you can find him on VOC Nation.
Wasn't Garber SmackDown with Mike Pollan?
No.
Pollan and who else was SmackDown?
With Rob.
Is Rob or Pollan the one that's having a scheduling conflict?
Both.
Oh no, dude. They're both very good. I like both of them.
They are, and we'll definitely try to get them back again.
So what happened to the Impact Implosion? Is that still on?
The TNA Impact has not yet imploded. Did you see the news from this afternoon?
I heard Billy Corgan did not get control. Does that mean it's back to Dixie as usual?
The Billy Corgan era is certain to have ended now.
So what does this mean?
We don't know. Who the hell knows?
So is Dixie back in control?
It appears that Dixie is going to have control, yes.
That woman has 9 lives, dude. Doesn't she?
Amazing.
TNA with Dixie Carter is going to outlast the WWE somehow. They just will. It's going to happen.
Absolutely amazing.
Interesting.